Tuesday morning.
Grand Rising on this absolutely gorgeous, beautiful Tuesday morning here in New England. The birds are chirping, the sun is shining, the weather is sweet, as they say. And we are here today for a very special edition of Rise Up Breathwork, where we have invited some of our members to bring their children to class. And so we did have some brave little kids show up today to see what Matt's all about. And Matt has brought some fun little music instruments and did I see kaleidoscopes?
You did.
I did see some kaleidoscopes. So Matt today is just going to lead a conversation about mindful, peaceful parenting, about giving our kiddos some tools to tap into when they're feeling stressed out or having anxiety, because we all know right now, no matter what your age, this world is moving at a very fast pace. So we are here today to slow down, drop in, and tune in to Matt. Yeah. Matt, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
As always.
Good to be here as always. Yeah.
And I am not here with my kiddos because sadly mine are sick and or I couldn't get them out of their pajamas. But what are you going to do? So I'm here to learn. Yes, right. And I'm going to go take my seat in the class, Matt, and I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Welcome. So I think, sometimes when we start thinking about like breathworks or tools that we're using for ourselves, a lot of times we're doing our own work. And, if we have family or kids, we may maybe forget that maybe they may need it as well. So we'll just lightly discuss and we'll go through some really simple stuff that can be fun for anyone. It doesn't really matter if you're a kid or an adult. But learning how to, like what we've talked about in the past on other episodes, of not becoming so reactive. So when we think of ourselves, it's easy to come up from a parent, and you can probably see it in the children because you're a witness to it, so you kind of see it. But they may not have that intellect quite yet as well to even know or understand like what they're doing with their behaviors. And then maybe we reprimand them. It can be from a teacher or any, how are we speaking to the kids or reacting to their reactions. So there's a lot that goes on with that. And then just stress in general. That kids can, we're testing them a lot. So to have a tool to pause and create some space between if they're stuck on a question. Creating a space or a pause again if they're out playing with the warmer weather coming in. Maybe they put themselves in a fearful situation. Maybe no adults are around. It's getting warm out, so climbing trees, playgrounds, stuff like that. And then as well, I've had some kids recently who, if they brush up against the side of a wall or someone kind of bumps into them lightly, they take that pain level that's really maybe a 0 or 1 and bring it all the way up to a 10. And then they stay there for a little while. So that overreactive behaviors that we can also see in some of the comments I've had from parents when they've noticed like at home, like they're not doing that anymore. They're like, wow, like that really works when they tune in and can use the breath. I even recently had a parent say something to me where her son didn't zip up his bag, so I'm sure we've all done this, pulled the bag out of the car, dumped everything everywhere all over the parking lot, and he completely lost it. And she just looked at him and was like, yelled his name really loud to get his attention, and then she just said, breathe. And he fell into this breath that I'll show you today. And she said she was shocked at the power of 2 breaths, just watching his whole body transform and relax. And then he just smiled at her, picked everything up, and ran into school laughing. So just that power of 2 breaths, 3 seconds or less, was enough to turn the day around and not go down that negative road. So we're just kind of get started with something that's kind of fun. Is sometimes when we think of breathing, or a lot of times I had to do something this morning. I was talking to someone who I'd never met before, and she was like, is meditation the route that we want to start with? And I was like, no, it's more advanced. We really want to, when we think, the story I gave her this morning is meditation's like you sitting in the middle of a whole bunch of baby chicks in a pen, and they're all chirping away and running around, and you can think of all the little chicks as our mind and that sound, and it's everyone's trying to gain our attention. And then we're sitting there in the middle trying to quiet all those chicks down and get them to calm down and maybe take a nap. So how hard is that to do? And so by discovering the breath first, from that point when we can switch our awareness to just the breath, and that's it. And we're not trying to quiet the mind or just anything, just the breath. If someone has a really busy mind, and if you're at home watching this, a technique that's just kind of fun is actually using kaleidoscopes. And so if you don't have a kaleidoscope at home, and I'm going to give one out to everyone here, if you don't have one at home, what you can do is just go on YouTube, type in kaleidoscope, and then you'll get some videos that will just show the images of kaleidoscopes. So what is the purpose of this? So if someone is struggling to quiet down, or just to even tune into your breath maybe. So what we can do with a kaleidoscope is just kind of we'll take a few breaths and just kind of bring our awareness to the body and to the breath. And then with the kaleidoscope, what we're going to do is just kind of hone in on the images and really just bring all of our attention to the different colors, the pattern changes, and just really tune into this. Almost like I'm sure everyone here watches TV. How are the kids with TV? Yes, thumbs up. You guys like to watch movies or TVs? We sometimes get sucked into that, which we probably want to kind of move away from. But if you ever notice how if you're watching a television program, something can be going on around you, and you maybe don't have the awareness to it because we're so sucked into that. So that's kind of how we want to think of the kaleidoscope. Or maybe if you're listening to music, we can get so tuned into the sound of the music and how beautiful that is, that we may not always have awareness of other stuff that's going around if we really get lost in it. So we want to become a little lost with the kaleidoscope. So I'm just going to kind of give one out to everyone, and I'll let you pick what other color or picture that you enjoy. Do you need more? Do you want me to put more light on?
I think it's fine once you're facing the light.
Okay, so you might have to look at a light. Do you want a different one? I'll leave them here if anyone wants to switch it. So what I'm going to invite everyone to do for a moment is to put the kaleidoscopes down. And we're just going to do a very quick breath. So I'm just going to invite you to just close your eyes for a moment and just sit comfortably for you. And I'm just going to invite you to breathe in any manner that fits. So there's no specific way to breathe here. Just breathe and just bring awareness to how you actually breathe. And how does it feel in your body? Just for a moment, Can you feel the air passing through the nose? Do you breathe into your chest or to your stomach? Like, bring your awareness into that for a moment. Like, where do you breathe into? What's normal for you? Can you feel your heart? Can you maybe bring attention to your eyes and see if they're relaxed? Maybe bring your attention to the jawline, the mouth, maybe the neck, and just see how that feels today. Maybe see if you can just drop your shoulders down and let the body go. And so now I'm just going to invite you we're going to take 2 minutes with the kaleidoscope. So I'm just going to invite you to grab a kaleidoscope. You can switch eyes. And I just want you to draw yourself into it. Stay in tune. I invite you to stay in tune with your breath while you're looking at the kaleidoscope. And then also while you're breathing. So try to make sure you're still breathing, because we want to check ourselves and bring our awareness to the breath. A lot of times when we get caught up in an activity, so if any of the kids here play a sport, or if you're doing some homework or playing on the playground, same for adults. If we're doing an activity, it can be athletic, anything, cooking, cleaning up after the dog, whatever, cleaning the house, driving the car, going to work, all these activities. Like, how many times have you caught yourself like you feel like you're holding your breath? So as we tune in, just let it tune in and stay conscious of the breath so that we don't hold. You're only focused on what you're seeing. It's all we're drawing our attention to. What you see, the colors, the shapes, and are you still breathing? And then I'm just going to ask you to gently place that down, and then to close your eyes for a moment. You can sit up, you can lay down, and we're just going to lightly bring awareness to, actually it might be better for this to sit up, sorry. So for a moment, when we think of breathing, we also want to tie into our body and how it feels. So I'm just going to invite you to breathe in through the nose for a moment, and then to exhale out through your mouth, just gently. And then as you do this, we're just going to discover, how are you feeling? So just lightly maybe place your fingers on top of your head, and then just start pressing. You can do it like playing a piano. Just press. You can think of washing your hair. Sometimes how good that feels when we're getting a haircut before they... And just bring your attention to the breath and the sensations and how it feels in the body when you add touch. Maybe lightly touch your eyes, the forehead, your jawline, the nose, around the lips, the ears, your neck, your shoulders a little bit. To even work down your arms and to like even press, like even to squeeze the muscles of the forearm or the wrist. And just drop into how this feels in your body. And the fingers a little bit as well. The fingers are so important. And then if you just want to scan or feel anything else in the legs or hips or feet, just explore for a moment, staying with the breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Yeah. And then just keep your eyes closed. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. So sometimes with children as well, it's hard to learn how to breathe. So for the folks here, just by a show of hands, how many people felt like you were breathing into the chest? Did anyone feel like they were breathing into the chest? Okay. How about, was anyone breathing into the stomach? Okay. So what's the difference here? What do we want? So we're going to make this into a little game, and it can be good for little kids. It's a nice way for adults or for children to imagine how to breathe. I'm just going to lightly just go over the difference. If we're breathing into our chest, you're only using 25% of your lung capacity. Also, you're in a very mild state of hyperventilation. So if you're triggered by any events during the day, this will help you to have that overreaction because we're in such a mild form of hyperventilation that when stuff arises, it can actually help blow that up much quicker because of the way we're breathing. So if we breathe into the stomach, then here we're actually utilizing 100% of the lung capacity. So we're really fueling the body, oxygenating the body, and also helping to release toxins from the body on the exhale. And it's going to be much deeper when we're coming from the stomach. If you're thinking athletics performance, if you're doing, say, like a sport where you're really extremely tired and worn out, or if your day is this way, just in general, there's actually a breath that you can do into the stomach that will, it's better than having a cup of coffee. It will wake you up and make you so aware so fast that, it's way better than coffee. So what's a little game that we can do to think about? Because breathing into the stomach also brings in, this can bring in, just a side note, insecurities. If we have any insecurities with how we look appearance-wise or anything like that. So this is just breathing. And when we do it in our day-to-day walking life, people aren't really seeing how the body's breathing or focused on that. So I'm just going to invite you for a moment just to place your hands like on your belly button. And we're just going to create a balloon with our belly. So if we think of making a balloon. So we're going to breathe in and out through the nose gently. And I just invite you to feel the belly button kind of rise, and then very gently feel it lower and deflate the balloon. And just bring your attention for a moment to the belly. If you are able to breathe in and out through the nose, that's fine. If that is not working for you, just breathe in any manner that suits you. And just bring your attention to the belly and creating this balloon. And you can kind of play with it. How large can you make the balloon? Or how small can you make it? And can you try to relax into and just try to relax the body, relax your breath. And just let any sounds you hear just be like a vibration that you're breathing in. Breathing into the belly and creating that little balloon. And then just lightly keep breathing. And so this is part of what I've talked about a few times is like a lot of times if I'm working with someone and they're just starting on this journey, especially with the breath, I'll invite them to into like a 21-day challenge. And the challenge, and we're thinking 21 days in the sense of that if we're trying to develop a habit and create something new in our life or for our pathway, it takes a lot of work to bring in something new, a new habit, something healthy for us. So I'm just going to invite you just to get nice and comfortable, lay down, sit, breathe, and continue breathing into the stomach. And the 21-day challenge is to try and breathe for 5 minutes into the stomach like this, just nice and relaxed, twice a day. Usually I recommend just stay right in bed and do it. Like just start your day with this before you get out of bed. Maybe set the alarm a little bit earlier. And even before sleep, like 5 minutes before you go to bed. Or for 5 minutes as you're kind of in that process. And usually in the beginning it's good to set like a timer. But just see if you can stay with this breath for a moment. And as one is learning this breath, what I invite you to do right now is to track the breath fully. So pretend like the breath is like a little car or a bicycle or a skateboard, scooter board, and just track it coming in through the nose and really feel it. Bring your awareness to what does the nose do? Do the nostrils open up a little bit? Can you feel the air passing? Can you follow the air as it goes like to the back of the throat or to the upper part of the neck? And as the air approaches that area of the neck, you actually feel it turn as if it's coming down the esophagus and filling up your stomach. And then how does it feel to exhale? And just take a moment and just track the air. And see if you can stay with the flow. And just track it and how it feels to actually breathe. And this is a way of beginning to quiet the mind a little bit. If, while we're learning this, what's a tool to actually help quiet the mind? So maybe there's like a little war or a little battle going on with you right now. Maybe you start tracking the breath and then all of a sudden some thoughts come in. And so the first step with a thought is to acknowledge it and say, hi, I know you're here. And just have that acknowledgement of the thought. The next step is to tune into your body and see, does it, as you're breathing, does it activate you? Common things that can happen when a thought, because a thought leads to an emotion, which can also lead to a reaction. So if you think in terms of acknowledging the thought, what does that do for you? And if you're trying to help your kids a little bit, just try to relax a little bit. And what it does is it creates a space, a gap, or like say a pause from the thought itself. So I acknowledge it and then tune into the body and just see, where is it activating me? Maybe the heart can get very racy. The eyes might shut tight or get very tight. The mouth, the neck. The neck can close up. If you have difficulty with being positive with words, we may find that the throat locks up quite a bit. We may get sweaty. So just tune into the body and breathe into that part of the body if something's not going away. And as you're following the breath as well, on the inhale, we breathe into the stomach. Maybe even feel the rib cage as well open, and maybe the chest area open a little bit. And just see if you can stay with the breath and how it feels. So now, as you're staying with the breath, I invite you for a moment to, you can think of yourself or a situation with the kids or anyone in your family or friends. And just imagine for a moment, maybe like a light frustration that might come up, something that is a trigger for you maybe, or something that might make you feel uncomfortable or have like a reaction that you don't feel as though is really a part of who you actually are. And then when you have that situation, I just invite you to breathe, acknowledge it, and then just take that little pause and find it in the body. And once you find it in the body, just breathe into it. And on the exhale, imagine that you're bursting that bubble and sending it away, or dispersing it throughout the body or outside the body. and just let it disappear. Just breathe into that and go back into that tracking the breath. And just let it go. If something else pops up, do the same thing for a moment. Now here's a really tricky one for all of us. How do we speak to ourselves? How do you witness your children speaking to themselves? For me, the most common thing in the rock climbing world that I get from the kids, I can't do this. And so the kids who have been with me for a while, they know that that's not something that they can say in class. And so I sit down and talk to them about what are our choice of words. If we're saying I can't do something, think of it in terms of like I'm setting myself up for failure before. And so we just got to find something that's going to not set us up for failure, but set us up for working towards it and maybe one day doing it or finishing it that day or being able to accomplish it. So just for a moment, bring yourself to words that you hear other people say or even words that you may say to yourself. Because the words that we choose, this is the energy that we're going to put out to the world, to the people around us, and for ourselves. And now I'm going to invite you to go back to breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. We have a nice little extended exhale with the mouth. And what I'd like you to try is to see if you can, on your inhale, to breathe in and draw the energy all the way up to the top of your head. And I would like you to hold it. And then whenever you're done holding it, to let it go. And I'd like you to try this like 3 times. So not an uncomfortable hold, just something comfortable. But just hold the energy up in that space in the head. And then just release it down and throughout the whole body. And so when we think of trying to add breath into our day or even try to help with the people around us, these breaths that you've done today are all breaths that help to bring balance into our nervous systems. Most of us breathing into the chest and just running through the day at 100 miles an hour, we're just creating that like hyperventilation. We're creating, maybe some stress or anxiety. But to tune into the breath just a little bit can it can really bring balance to the nervous system. And it can happen very quick, just like that little boy who lost it when he dropped all of his stuff. And I've known this kid for a long time, and I can tell you when he loses it, and it's instantaneous. Like he reminds me of myself. Like I used to get so upset. So when we begin a new journey, or if you're going to try that 21-day challenge, another word that I like to bring in sometimes is called sipping. Sipping, like we're sipping our hot cup of coffee or hot chocolate, or sipping our drink. Just taking small doses. Like if you're backpacking and you have limited water, we're just going to kind of sip and take in what we need. So we can also think of the breath as like to be sipping the breath during the course of the day, meaning to just lightly bring your attention to it every once in a while and just take one breath. You can do it while you're driving. You can do it in conversation with people, because people don't know. If you're talking to someone and it's creating a stressful situation, they don't know that you brought your attention to your breath for 1.5 seconds. Like they have no idea. And it's gonna, if anything, it's going to keep you in more alignment or in tune with what's going on. But this can help, just even that one simple breath can help that arousal state, to help bring it back down, balance it out, and then just kind of create that pause for a moment, which might create a pause with our words. Take a moment and speak. What's the intention of our words? So something to discover for everyone out there who's new to this, or with family or friends. Create a balloon and balloon breathing. Kids like to imagine it, and it's kind of fun. For us, it's getting us to help us breathe more correctly into the stomach. If you try the 5 minutes in the morning or in the evening, remember the word pause or a gap, whatever word works for you. Creating a space between your thoughts and any type of emotional reaction. And if we create that space, a little bit of space, even if it's just one breath, that can help align us more correctly, so that maybe our words have a more positive flow or effect on ourselves or others. With children, you can just do this very lightly in very small doses. The attention span is not there like what we're doing right now. And it can also help from a parent standpoint if you're trying to add this in too. Like, let's breathe together. Like if something's going on the car ride, or maybe they don't want to go to the store with you, or maybe they don't want to go to school, whatever the case may be. Like, let's just take a second and breathe and find it. Because we all know that as the mind gets going, it's like it keeps going faster, 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 and more chicks are coming into play. And then it gets harder and harder to stop it or slow it down. And then the anxiety rises, the argumentative type words might rise, and then we're just moving into frustration. So the balloon breath, explore creating a pause or a space between the thoughts and the emotion, and link it into the body. How do you feel? How do I feel is not, oh, I feel good. It's like, how is your body feeling? because the body's just speaking to us on its needs. And then things like the kaleidoscope, the sunset, looking at a tree or a flower, it's all ways to help also draw our attention and help kind of quiet down and redirect. And for everyone that's here, I'm just going to invite you to lightly wake up and just kind of recreate your awareness to this room and this space around you. Reacquaint yourself with your neighbors right here. Shake, move, stretch. Movement is also so important with this type of work. And as you're waking up, I just wanted to open this up to the floor if anyone has any questions or didn't understand anything I was saying or wanted me to go into anything a little bit deeper. But if anyone has any thoughts, this is just really basic, introductory, like what to do for yourself or for your family, kids, friends, anyone. Sandy?
Yeah, yesterday we had a situation where, two kids had needs and there was only one parent.
Yeah.
And the needs of the one that was violently vomiting in the car obviously took precedent over the fact that the other child was hungry and they were going to get food, And so obviously the car got turned around and the child who had to be cleaned up and had to, and then the other child, like I was the parent who wasn't absent, but when I came in, like Nate was like hiding in my closet, crying, and and I'm trying. I wish I would have just stayed listening and just said, let's just breathe together. Let me hold you instead of trying to rationalize his feelings with him by saying, but your sister just got sick. Like not understanding why he wasn't being empathic to her when he normally was such an empathic kid. But really it was just like, him just trying to tell me, well, I'm here too, and it was just, I just wish I had handled it differently, like after doing this today, because probably he didn't need me to say a damn thing. He just needed me to be there for him, so I think that, like, this is a good reminder of that sometimes you just need to stay and listen and breathe and actually not try to fix it.
Try not to fix it,
So thanks for that reminder.
Thank you for sharing that. Because even though for him, he still had a need that needed to be met, regardless of what was going on. And
it made me really feel for single parents who that's their reality all the time. Because, like, when my husband walked in, he's like a bucket in his hand, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And he's like, well, where do we start? And then he directed me to Nate because, he was already helping, he was in the middle of helping Naomi.
Yeah.
So, but what does the parent do who doesn't have a partner? I can only imagine the guilt that goes into trying to balance it all. So I really had that thought too.
And when we breathe for a moment and just get in touch with the body, it can really help. And even to have discussions around it too, like how do things feel?
This is a great tool to help us parents, I think, release that guilt because we are only human also. And I think we get in that mode of like putting our kids' needs first so much that like it's very easy as a mom to not take the pause too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that pause also helps bring us more into the moment with the child or the family member or coworker. It doesn't really matter, but just bring us more into the moment too. And
I think as parents, sometimes it's hard to separate ourselves from trying to fix and then dropping down and being present. And you get caught up in the emotion of the moment. And it's almost like you forget everything you've learned and go into the like into that old brain with your child. You're being drawn into that, which is triggering and reactive.
Mm.
So it takes, you know, it's hard to separate sometimes when, you know, it's like when the parent is in tune with the music or zoned into what they're doing. And then there's another, you know, there's another reaction and something happening over here. And we want to meet our needs, and we get upset and pulled into the emotion of being drawn to continue to do what we're doing, but we're being drawn away. And then the emotion stirs, and you bring that emotion into the situation. So, you know, having the awareness of breath is huge. And at the same time, sometimes it's really hard to separate the knowing from the emotional reaction. Like it's a dance that's very challenging, you know, because you want to meet your needs, you want to meet your child's needs, and then to get ourselves out of that fixing, I want to fix it place, you know. So it's a little dance of practice of, you know, that's why these practices are so wonderful, because you're in this forward motion, and, you know, you're dealing with the brain going in, coming from one place and all of a sudden switching. You know, our children don't have that awareness yet. So, but as a parent and those, you know, as an adult, that we do have those awarenesses, it's still a challenge, even with the practice of breath and yoga, to separate yourself sometimes, and then dealing with the guilt of not being able to when you don't. So being empathetic or being compassionate with ourselves as parents, and letting our kids know that, you know, it's okay, you know, that you know, or I said something I shouldn't have said that, and kind of just repairing too. But it's a practice, so it's really good to have these cognizant places to come where we can practice placing ourselves there and drawing our breath in, and how we can apply that to situations that, you know, become very reactive very quickly. So it's observation. It's you know, it's coming from love, compassion, but it's also wonderful to have these practices because they're reminders of how we can empower ourselves to do this. And it's not just one practice. It's not just one time. It's you know, like that's why it's beautiful to have this on a weekly basis, because, you know, it's a reminder of how we can drop in. And like, to have this 21-day challenge is a good place to be cognizant of, you know, I can do this for 21 days. You know, maybe, or what is it going to be like if I did try this for 21 days? You know, I don't think I've done that as a parent, to try and do that for 21 days. So it's a good challenge.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. You know, there's like, say, let's just say with 21-day challenge for a minute, maybe 5 minutes doesn't quite work for you. So I think when being presented or invited to try and add something to your life, it's also important to understand that it's okay to do it with what your boundaries may be. And so maybe your boundaries right now are just to do it for 1 minute twice a day. And to understand, like, that's okay to build up to 5 minutes. And then also, like, part of what you were saying is, like, it's nice to have these practices, breath work, come here to this, what you do tomorrow, all this stuff. And then to take, and then, but how do we get to that point where we can do it under stress, right? So the 21-day challenge is one thing because it starts bringing us to awareness. The other one being the sipping. So where can you sip a breath? So one invitation to you is this. Whenever you have a change in your day, meaning going from here, you go get in the car before you drive the car, before you even turn the car on, just take one breath. Just stop, bring your awareness to the breath. All right, now I'm going to turn the car on. Just one breath. Maybe I'm getting ready to leave the car and go into the house. And maybe I know I'm going to an anxious situation, or I might just be going to a peaceful situation. It doesn't matter. Just take a breath before you get out of the car. Maybe take a breath before you jump in the shower, or whatever. But if you just maybe bring your awareness to a couple of moments that are changing in your day, and just take a little sip of air, one breath. And the more we kind of bring that in, for myself, I have discovered that all of a sudden it's more and more and more. And then I all of a sudden become super aware when I'm not aware of my breathing. And it starts changing. So it's that slow little build up, right?
I see you pausing, like, after we speak more and, like, breathing in to process what we say.
Yeah.
Even more than we started this, like, a year ago or
Yeah.
a year and a half ago. Like, the way that you even speak has changed because of your awareness of your breath, I think.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's a
Appreciate
great
it.
rhythm.
So I've got one more share. So,
Yeah.
I think it's one thing, like, for parents that, so I'm a yoga teacher,
Right.
and I'm a parent, I'm a single mom. And, I teach and I practice almost every day. But there are many parents who don't have this practice, that they're getting up, they're preparing their kids, they're on this go, go, go. So what just came in as I have this balloon in the car that Forbes, he has this balloon with a rubber band on it. And as a parent and as a yoga teacher, I forget. Like, when I'm in class, that's one thing, and I'm leading, or I'm here, and I'm, present. And then once we cross the threshold and we hop in our car, we're going about our day to the next thing. It's like we quickly forget, but even though we carry these tools, we can forget. So, for parents that don't have these tools, these are wonderful offerings to seek to bring awareness in. But what I mean with the balloon is what I just thought of is the balloon is it's a big balloon. It's ginormous. And it's a beautiful reminder of how, we breathe. But I just told myself, I'm going to write breathe on this balloon that's in the car, because Forbes has the balloon in the car.
Yeah.
Because even when it's floating around, and if I were to grab it and want to get it out of the way, I have something that says, aha, this is, and that connects me to him. I mean, it's just kind of like something insignificant. There's a balloon, but it's also very representative of ourselves, how we breathe, or what we carry, or how we can take the breath, or a reminder of the breath. And just even writing the word large and just looking at it, I think would even pop up at me and remind me not to forget, because even with someone who has practiced these tools, in the moment, I'm human and I can forget and I can react.
Yeah.
And so
I like that. I think of the balloon having the string.
Yeah.
And, like, when our kids, like, then leave us, how we're, like, still attached. Energetically.
So now I know what I'm going to do with that balloon.
Mommy, get your own.
But, and I think what you're bringing up there is also really important, because it doesn't have to just be the balloon either. It can be go get some sticky notes and start putting sticky stuff all over the house, on your mirror, on the fridge, and breathe, or Or another thing is positive affirmations. I love myself. I love my family. I am kind. I choose my words wisely. You can just start writing anything that's just beautiful and positive, or just a reminder. So thank you actually for bringing that up, because that's like another way to help SIP, right? Yeah. Does anyone else have any thoughts or concerns or anything? And I think also with the breath, like a harder part of the journey, but just something to bring awareness to is like, I feel like for myself, it really brings about a certain amount of safety with myself in developing that self relationship, and feeling more safe. Because a lot of my problems were because I didn't feel safe or wasn't having needs met. So it is a beautiful journey to go on. And like I always say, like, please, if you have any questions or anything in regards to this, I'm always here. You can reach out to the store here, or you can email me at the riseupbreathwork@gmail, or Sandy knows how to get a hold of me or whatever. So just that's always out there, for anyone that just needs to talk, let it out, or just maybe get some more ideas on how to sink into this a little bit. So other than that, you're leading Friday night, yes?
I'm leading tomorrow's family
Okay.
yoga.
Okay, so we have the.
Yeah, so we'll have a family-friendly yoga.
Okay. Oh, beautiful.
We'll be with
Okay,
you.
so similar. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's at 1
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock here at the
Tomorrow.
church.
Yeah,
Okay.
here at the church, and everybody's. I forgot to tell you. That will be here as a family practicing practicing connectedness, movement together, just having
Beautiful.
fun together. A little movement, a little breath, a little stillness, and maybe lots of wiggle.
There you go. And Sandy, is there anything else you need to add in? Friday night's still going on for people in the area.
I think Anna, I thought you are the trip hop.
So
Okay.
Friday, yes.
Yes,
So Friday
okay.
is the next event. Friday evening will be a little bit of just movement with a little old school trip hop.
Okay.
Kind of connecting to, well, not kind of, connecting to our breath, connecting to movement, and to some of the trip hop rhythms that can really move the body slowly and mindfully.
Okay. Beautiful.
Awesome. So I just did want to say, to get all the latest updates, do go to PCS&M.org, scroll all the way to the bottom of the homepage, and sign up for my newsletter. Because we're trying to make sure we're communicating and things change as much as possible. But the more people we can get to sign up for that, then we can communicate in one place. So thank you so much, Matt. That was really fun. And thanks to all the kiddos who were so patient, and to the parents for sharing in this with us. And see you tomorrow.